What's up, potheads and political junkies? You're watching Cannabis Culture News Live. I'm Jeremiah Vandermeer, editor of Cannabis Culture and Pod TV, here with my homie Craig. What's up, Craig?
What's up? It's Craig X. No, it's not Thursday. This isn't Expert Joints Live. You are watching Cannabis Culture News here on Pod.tv, and I want to give a shout out to the homie Alex, his homeboy in the Habs, helping us out today here instead of the usual Cannabis Culture. What's going on, y'all?
We got the hand mic, so we're doing it all by hand. We're on the road here in Toronto at our new dispensary location, Cannabis Culture, 801 Queen Street West. There, yeah, we got our sandwich board inside. I wish we could... I would love to be able to show them this thing here. Can you point it at the wall here? Now we've got the decals up now. We've got, yeah, look at this massive wall decal. It's huge. Oh yeah, that's all good. Wow, it's massive. This thing is huge. Bam. So that's the one on the wall. And yeah, chatters out there, let us know. Does it sound and look okay? Please let us know. We're wondering. And we can't take the cam outside because we got all the equipment set up here. But out front, we have the actual facade sign up now. It looks amazing. It's huge. It's calling a lot of attention. The people walking by on the street are all looking at it. A little lower. Yeah, a little lower. There you go. Beautiful. Look at that. I think we're good there. So they say it looks and sounds good. Good to have you here, Pod TV. And what's hilarious is, and you guys can't see this, if we had two cams, I could be switching back and forth, but everybody that walks by looks in the window, like everybody. And it's a big, massive window that goes right out onto the street, and it's like right in front of me. It's right behind the camera right now, and we're puffing down, and so everybody that walks by can see nothing but a massive Cannabis Culture sign and us sitting inside smoking weed. Yeah, show them one more time. It's fun. Look at this. Look at that window. It's beautiful. Little more towards that way. Yeah, look at it. Keep going. It's huge. Look at that. You can't even get the whole window in one shot. It's just all glass. So this is a new dispensary location and a lounge. So we're going to turn this into... It will be. It's not quite ready yet, even though we are having our lift off tonight. A little lower. We're having a grand opening of the place. Not really the grand opening. It's a soft opening. Little more towards this way. It's a sneak peek. We're not quite ready to roll yet. No, you're too far that way now. Hey, man, David. How you doing? A little this way. There, you're just going way too far back and forth. Right in the middle. There you go, brother. And maybe down just ever so slightly.
Fucking picky bastard.
That's right. Got to get that shot perfect. So, yeah, the window looks cool. Eventually, when we get rolling, we'll probably take you into the back to look at the whole place, to get set up. If you don't mind taking a seat, man, or it's totally up to you. If you want to stand, that's cool. Okay. But we're just doing a little bit. Yeah, I am gonna have on the show now. I haven't even said who's gonna be on the show yet today. David from Ganja Brothers is gonna be on the show talking about the raid on their place. So I haven't even said what's happening here. If you've been watching Pod TV over the past couple days, you'll know that Toronto had a massive raid. Toronto police are waging war on cannabis dispensaries here in the city. It's the largest action at any one time against cannabis that we know of in this country. It's off the charts. And it's pretty brutal. We came out here to open a couple dispensaries, not expecting this massive crackdown on everyone, but we're kind of caught right in the heart of it. And so we're just going to go ahead and open our dispensaries anyways and do it in their face basically and say, yes, we're opening. We're not afraid of you guys. If you want to come and arrest us, then do that. We're going to fight just like everybody else.
But, if it comes down to it, we don't want to get arrested. We're not deliberately trying to flagrantly fly the flag of, hey, fuck you. We're at the point where as political activists, as a movement, as a philosophy, as cannabis culture has always believed, we feel people deserve the right to fair and legal access. And with the fact that the Allard decision from Judge Phelan ruling the MMPR regulations unconstitutional and invalid, plus with the pending legalization for Canadians anyway, I don't really see why they got to go through this. Now, sure, yes, the dispensary models aren't perfect. The LP model isn't perfect, but the problem is they won't let us work it out. All they want to do is come in and kick in the door, raise in the 4-4. All you heard was Toronto don't hurt me no more.
It's brutal, man, and it is. It's violent action. It's like guns versus flowers, man. Guns versus flowers. Are you talking about water? If you got water, I need some right now because my lungs are. We got drinks coming and stuff though, right? Yeah. Well, of course, with the food tonight. So we keep getting asked, this is our dispensaries we've talked about in the past on the show. We're opening dispensaries, and we're not, like a lot of the dispensaries here, they try and follow a rigorous medical model where they demand proof of a medical ailment from a doctor. You have to get a note from a doctor saying that you have some sort of medical problem.
Which costs you money.
Which costs you money, and takes the time to do that, but also it's really kind of illegal in a way and has nothing to do with what we are to do as cannabis culture here. We don't want to have to ask people for a doctor's note, and we're not asking people for a doctor's note. We believe that everybody has the right to use cannabis as a natural medicine, and we don't believe, just like the over-the-counter drugs like Tylenol and these other ones, you don't need a doctor to sign off on Tylenol every time you get it, because it's, Tylenol is really actually dangerous. But compared to cannabis, cannabis is not dangerous at all compared to Tylenol. You can take a bottle of Tylenol, swallow it, and you'll die. But you can never, ever smoke enough cannabis to kill yourself.
You could consume a med tamer full of cannabis and be just fine. You might be tired afterwards, but the other problem is as well too is when you're holding the standards that they're trying to group it in the categorization. When you see, of course, the suggestions from a lot of provinces, while their liquor boards might be able to control it, and if alcohol and tobacco are both more harmful than cannabis is, why are we necessarily following that model? But okay, if we're going to put it on the same par as that, so you got to vote, you got to be 18, 19. To buy cigarettes, you got to be 18, 19. To buy liquor, you got to be 18, 19. Pharmaceuticals you can buy if you have a prescription because, it's part of the plan as well too. But that's the point. We really feel anybody who's mature and responsible enough should have the access, but to us, as we're in a retail space, I think the only standard that applies, really, that's anything that you can hold it to is the same standard, because there's no standards for anything else. If you have anxiety or stress, you don't have to go to your doctor to get a prescription to go get a bottle of wine. You walk into a liquor store, you show your ID, and you walk in with a bottle of wine. You drink enough of that wine, eventually it kills you.
And you could argue that that's a medical reason for drinking wine. If you want to relieve stress, that's a medical reason for drinking it. You don't need a note from a doctor to try and relieve your stress. Holistic medicine, the whole idea of it is that you do it throughout your daily life so that you're not getting sick all the time. And natural medicines like cannabis are really helpful in that regard. I smoke weed all the time, so I don't have any stress. If I wasn't smoking weed, I'd probably be pretty goddamn stressed.
And I smoke weed partly because of some, don't smoke stress. I smoke weed for some body pain, for some sleep issues, from that. But my biggest thing is anxiety and obsessive compulsive personality disorder. I get to the point where I spin more than I can handle. There is no drug, there's no pharmaceutical that they can give me for that doesn't leave me be a vegetable, doesn't leave me being addicted to drugs, and doesn't leave me to the point where it ends up killing me in time. I can't take certain medications for a certain amount of time before your body starts to eat itself alive. Marijuana will heal you. So not only is it not harmful, it's a healing product, it's a natural product. The only reason they have anything against it is because they're not making enough money off it like they make off of everything else. And that's the only thing it comes down to. And if you're talking about money, the big waste of money that Toronto put into this, and then it goes into the court systems and all the money that goes, we already know that a lot of the judges aren't going to, even though they're fairly confident that, a lot of these charges will stick. Not all of them will, and very few of them will. And for the whole point of this, it just comes down to if the standard industry comparison is the level of responsibility and maturity, 19. Sell it legally, sell it recreationally. If people want to use it for medicinal, that is their own purposes. I think that there is no such thing as medicinal tobacco. There is no such thing as medicinal alcohol. There's also no such thing as medicinal lottery. But those are all socially acceptable. You guarantee almost every one of those officers who went out last night after their good raid and stuff like that went out and celebrated, drank a few beers to celebrate the good job they did.
Yeah. And the second part of this whole dispensary rationale is that here in in Vancouver, we had the Allard case. Now, Justice Phelan in the Federal Court of Canada found our current medical marijuana regime to be unconstitutional or it's in violation of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and that means it's invalid. And he said that the whole thing is going to be thrown out and the government has to come back with a new one. So there's no reason for us to prop up a system that we don't believe in at all in any way, or pretend that we're going to do it under the guise of this whole medical system that we don't believe in anyways. Allard was wrong. The whole concept was that the medical marijuana system was wrong. Allard showed that. It showed that there aren't any inherent harms in growing marijuana for yourself. It showed that the LPs themselves do not have the type of product that patients actually want, that it's limiting access to medicine for patients by forcing it over to these major corporations who have to do it in a large factory and all this stuff.
And even if it came down to the fact that, let's just say there wasn't the talk of irradiation. Let's just say that the numbers that they posted and stuff actually matched with independent testing and stuff. Right. Which they don't. The problem comes down to with it is the fact that what the current system is you basically have to have a credit card, which some patients don't. You get sick enough, you get poor enough, you get destitute enough, you get to the point where you're hard enough on your luck, you got internet and credit cards. The only way you can order your weed through mail 3 days later. For some people, that doesn't work. Okay, fair enough. If you can get around that, that's one thing. If you have the ability to buy what you want, and if you're willing to settle for weed that you can't see, you can't smell, you just have a description of something generic that... Shut the fuck up! We're trying to do a show here. Jesus!
My bad.
Come say hi to Vancouver.
What's up, Vancouver? I'm missing you.
T-Dog. Right.
Can I open the door?
The hot box? I like the box.
Oh, yeah.
Licensed producers spoke out against medical marijuana patients growing. That was abuse against patient rights. And then as soon as the large came down, they switched and said, "Oh, we support all of it."
Of course, they support it, but here's
The abuse took place, and now they're trying to force us to
backpedal.
abuse.
Here's the thing: it's okay. So the abusers, if we want to call them that right now, if we want to call them the Health Canada model that they want you to go. Here's the problem with the Health Canada model: the 30 or so people who are able to do it, and the amount of them that actually are, mostly flowers. Few of them doing some oils, doing a few different little things here and stuff like that. For some people, flowers don't work. Some people need something stronger, or some people choose not to smoke. Some people don't have the ability to take it, make their own butter of it, and make something to eat. Now, I'm not recommending you should be going with sugar and stuff, but not everybody has tinctures, CBD caps. Cannabis is such a diverse plant, and it works for so many people on so many different levels. Everybody's impacted differently. Some people need shatter, concentrates, the oils, the tinctures, all those distillates because... not necessarily for recreational. Sure, you enjoy it. You're supposed to enjoy your life. You're not supposed to be fucking suffering through every second of your day. Life is supposed to be worth living. For some people, flower and just the dosage is not strong enough and they're not the ability to do it. It doesn't work. And the problem is these licensed producers do not have enough of a product range to be able to suit the patient's individual needs. Not everybody conforms to what they do. So unfortunately, the licensed producer model right there becomes ineffective for a large portion of the people. Then you get the cost prohibitive. Then you get the access. It's not designed well. And as the dispensaries, we don't necessarily, of course, want to be, the dispensaries don't necessarily want to be heavily regulated, but everyone is willing to work out some compromise and find a system for everybody. And if they do, and I've been preaching it forever, if you don't have the community on your side, the community is going to rebel against it. It's going to go back to court. We're going to fight again, just like we've always done. Chances are we probably win. It becomes a big waste of time and money, and nobody supports it. And if they don't support it, it's not going to work. Just like any other business, any restaurant, anything, if your model's not good, people aren't going to support it, you're going to close. And I think it should be a survival of the fittest. Open up to people to grow. Open up to people who want medical. Open it up to people who want recreational. Go through a production model if you want to control it that, but let the mom and pops. You don't see farmers markets having this kind of problem.
Right. And we shouldn't, again, the farmers market example is a pretty good one because we were at this press conference today, so I guess we should get in the press conference thing. But one thing that these guys are saying, the police chief and others are talking about the fact that, we don't know what's in this cannabis. We don't know how much THC is compared to the other things. Yeah, show us the victims. That was me. Yeah, that was me. Yeah, that was me. Well, it was me, Matt Barron, and Jody Emery. The three of us kind of hijacked the entire press conference. Oh yeah, and these guys were there was a couple things, but it was an interesting thing. But again, they're saying they don't know what's in this cannabis, and again, like I said to the police chief, why does that matter? Why does that matter? Do we have to know what's in it? It's not harmful, no matter how much percentage of which one's in it. So it's about as harmful as like a banana at the farmer's market.
Like this, right?
You don't know how much potassium percentage is in the banana. But does that matter, though? because potassium doesn't hurt you, and neither does THC. So give me a fucking break.
So to that level, if what they said is there was actually kind of a quote that they put out in the press release, or when we were there talking about it, Project Claudia was launched due to concerns over the unknown and unregulated amount of THC in dispensary weed and edibles, as well as pot shops' proximity to schools. There is no quality control whatsoever on these products. Okay, so if that's the reasoning behind this raid, my suggestion, label the fuck out of everything, get your shit tested independently, get it verified, and there you go. Here is the proof. Here is what is in it. Here's what's going on, and here's the quality control associated with it. And if you can show the test results, well then, what are you complaining about now? Throw their own words back in their own face and use it for them. So go, test your shit, and then go ahead and say, this is the reason you did this before. Well, now we're doing this. Take it out of the equation. Limit the possibilities, man. Eliminate the variables. I know it's expensive and it can cost time and money and the logistics associated with it, but band together, create your own testing labs, make it happen, get around the system. Wagon wheel testing. We've worked with wagon wheel testing before at the Harvest Moon Cup, as well as I think they did some testing for at least another one of the events in Vancouver that we covered. I can't remember which one, but yeah, Wagon Wheel does testing for sure too. And I know it can be prohibitive and the logistics and the time around it and stuff, but if that's what they're basing things on, okay.
If a group of dispensaries keep the same strains, they can all work together to pay
It's true.
one price.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. You can just cross sharing. Where there is a will, there is a way. And I think there's enough bills to make this happen. And people are up in arms about this. It's literally, we had support from bus drivers and trolley cars and public employees.
Streetcars.
Sorry, streetcars. Speaking of desire.
Oh, Mark and Jody are coming in the house now. They're outside on the street. I see them coming into the room. C-Ray says, I think you guys TKO'd Saunders. Yeah, I think we TKO'd him too. Maybe it wasn't a direct knockout because he didn't fall down, but yeah. Yeah, so the whole press conference today, what happened was there was a protest planned for this. Oh, hello, Mr. Mark Emery. I didn't even see it with my sunglasses on. I can barely see anything. So I wore the glasses today because I wanted to say that I still love Toronto and still love even the police here. We got to, show them as much love as we can. When we were there, the police were actually trying to stop reporters from getting into the press conference to record this whole thing. And a few of us, they were trying to stop Mary Beth from getting in. They tried to stop me from getting in. We actually got video of them trying to stop and us going and finding a new way in and them kind of chasing us in. But while we were there, Mark, you were out in front with a big crowd of people, and you were rallying them up all day. You did probably more press today than in a hell of a long time that I've seen. Tell me about everything that they were asking. What did the press want to know?
Well, I'm not even sure what their questions were, but I told them what I thought they ought to learn and hear. And that's basically, my usual dogma that, we are peaceful, benevolent people living a peaceful, honest lifestyle. And to basically enforce zoning bylaws and some obsolete criminal codes about possessing and selling marijuana, the police launched almost unprecedentedly, specifically targeted raid of enormous proportions, a massive overreaction to what the situation calls for. But the situation calls for no action at all because nobody is complaining, nobody's being heard, neighborhoods are being enriched, these dispensaries draw lots of people to them, they spend lots of money. Imagine if all these dispensaries close, that's like at least 100 to 150 retail locations that are now vacant. That'll depress the market. It's not a good sign. Remember, most of these dispensaries are renting marginal properties that no one else wanted at the price they were offered. Otherwise, a landlord, all things being equal, would probably choose someone else to be their tenant. But the fact is, there's probably a degree of business malaise out there, and dispensaries are a reliable place. They all make money. They all do well. They all seem to be very well run. So they're a good bet for a landlord. And the problem with this police action, it's going to make it harder for landlords to rent facilities to people. It's going to be harder to get employees if they think they're going to get raided any moment and go to jail and get arrested at $12, $13, $14, $15 an hour. That's not really worth the anxiety. It's going to be hard to get investors. It's going to be hard to recoup $5 million in lost inventory out of 45, 50 businesses with, say, 70 some odd locations, which is how many were raided. So, it creates a lot of problems for us. And, it takes $5 million worth of material out of the marketplace. Sooner or later, the consumer has to bear those costs. This is what the police fail to mention in their press conference, is the consumer always has all the costs passed on to them. No one else has the cost passed on to them. It's the consumer. So prices of weed will go up. There'll be a brief weed scarcity. A lot of people will get screwed. And the police they refer to anything illegal as organized crime, and then anything that's licensed provider is like, corporately approved safe business practices, right? So this massive prejudicial interpretation of what is right and wrong. And basically I go over that, in a lot of different permutations.
Now, Mark, you and I have had conversations recently about how far it could actually go with police action. Now they're just kind of going in, arresting people, letting the places open up again afterwards. They're not locking the places up. But what can the police actually do if they really want to close these businesses down?
Well, that's why this is all an economic attack. It's all a matter of depriving people the ability to have a dispensary, but not through legal means. These charges won't really stick. Very few of the owners got charged. Nobody got bail conditions requiring them not to go to the place where they've offended, which is totally unprecedented. The Goodwins were told they couldn't go back to Goodweeds. When I've been arrested, I've been told you can't go back and do the same thing again. Dana was told that with seeds. If you distribute seeds, you're in breach of your bail conditions, right? Nobody got any bail conditions imposed on them. In fact, it was very unprecedented that all these people got indictable offense charges, PPT and trafficking. You have to spend a night in jail and see a judge to get bail the next day under every other circumstance I've ever heard. So there's a whole bunch of extraordinary things going on which tell me the charges are not even remotely useful or relevant to the police. What they're really trying to do is they're acting as the economic enforcers of the 1%, the high corporate elite that have got the government's ear and Bill Blair's ear and the city of Toronto's ear and the police department's ear, and they are demanding that action be taken against these illegal dispensaries. And so this was meant to cripple their ability to do business. It wasn't meant to punish people who actually work at them or own them. It was meant to deprive them of economic activity and economic wherewithal so that they have to close up because they can't compete. And that's what this is. This is a power play by those with the connections against those of us who've run the industry and been part of it for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
But if they really wanted to, though, they could move forward and actually do a lot more. And this is,
there are limitations, though. They have to go to court. There's only a limited budget. The police still get a budget. They still book a lot of overtime, but the budgets build that in. But they can't afford to have hundreds of police officers going to court to testify. They can't have 100 preparations of discoveries going on. That's just going to be so costly to the taxpayer. And sooner or later, there's a limit to the patience of the taxpayer because they're buying the marijuana at these dispensaries. They want to go and patronize them. These are also voters who are invariably going to be offended. And John Tory only won by a limited margin. That's an easy margin to lose over time, and I hope he's never reelected, and I hope Justin Trudeau gets the message before the next election that this is an entirely unacceptable way of going about legalization, not to mention his legalization is really just a reworking of prohibition. So, the whole situation is unacceptable, but it's also unsustainable for the police. They keep arresting people. It costs a lot of money, and people are going to keep popping up and selling weed in some way. My proposal would be pop-up weed markets that just show up for one day, in some location. Everybody sells a lot of weed for 4 or 5 hours. People go there to buy their stuff. And then before the police can even arrest people, it's already over, right? Pop-up weed stores, pop-up farmer markets, this sort of thing. I mean, we'll basically have to evolve to however the market is adjusted. Because eventually, it's likely that landlords will cease to rent out properties for dispensaries, right? We might have to call them other names, like, I don't know, the Weeds Glass and Gifts was always their disguise, right? We're selling glass and gifts. We're not really selling huge quantities of marijuana, right? Well, and of course, people in our critics are anti-capitalist when it suits them. Oh, you're just trying to make money. But in anybody else's instance, everybody wants to make money. I don't know any human being that does any endeavor without profiting themselves. It's not human nature to do things where you don't profit by.
Right, and the government seems fine with it in every other regard with every business.
Because, and their problem is, see, they misunderstood what legalization meant. Legalization means what we're doing now is illegal. Say it's legal. We'll pay our taxes. We'll obey all relevant regulations, but not restrictions. We're not willing to accept restrictions and exclusions. In other words, we can't participate. So if they were reasonable, this wouldn't be a problem. But they're not reasonable. They want to control our industry. They want to take it away from us. They want to hand it to cronies. This is a classic example of crony capitalism going on, where the government is rewarding its corporate partners in some way or another.
Well, some of the guys like Chuck Rafisi have pretty close ties to the Liberals, too.
Yes, and but there's more going on than that, too, because the Harper legislation was designed to have corporate entities that the government could control and regulate strictly. Our problem is we're outliers. We're not controllable. We're not regulatable. We don't want to be regulated. We don't need to be regulated. Marijuana doesn't require regulations. And the problem with all these regulations that nobody brings up is they add a tremendous amount of costs even to the licensed producers with all the ridiculous regulations. And those costs are passed on to the consumer. So we, the marijuana consumers, are paying for all this ridiculous regulation, all these absurd laws, all this police enforcement, all these seizures, $5 million goes missing. The consumer always pays for all these costs.
What now, Mark? What do you think of the argument that the police chief guy today there was putting forward, Saunders? He was saying, well, we don't know how much THC is in them. We don't know how much of this and that. You say that they don't need regulations. What about that argument that we need to know what's in marijuana for some reason, and that's why we need to regulate so heavily?
But you notice he's saying that. It's quite obvious that the consumer doesn't need it or we demand it, but we don't really care. Because eventually we get to know a strain, we know a grower, we know a dispensary, we know a provider. And if we like their product, we don't need to ask those questions. And if we don't like the product, we buy something else. When you have all these dispensaries, you have a lot of choice in the marketplace. So we're not unhappy. If we only had to buy one strain, or as the person with the MMPR has to buy from one company only, it could be very restrictive. It could be very limited. But because we have had so many choices in these dispensaries, people don't complain. There is no safety concern. Every concern spoken by the chief of police are not concerns of the actual marijuana consumer. We don't have these concerns. Again, it's the people who don't smoke pot, who don't grow pot, who don't sell pot, who don't really like and respect our culture, who don't really think of us as responsible adults who are first-class citizens. In fact, they have contempt for us. And the way they speak about us, the way they deal with us, the way they're formulating these rules, all show that they have complete contempt for us as a culture, and that they're meant to be condescending, and that we're meant to be kept to our inferior status one way or another. Even with legalization, they want to keep the stigma. Hey, by the way,
And they have a total lack of understanding about the plant itself.
yeah.
Mary Beth Lafferty was at the business conference today at one point when they did a thing, something to talking to all the folks in there. And how many people in the room actually smoke weed? And like 5 people out of a full
Mary Beth, so they had this cannabis business conference happening here at I believe it was at the convention center as well, or somewhere around there? At the Westin, right. And so it was not really related to Lyft, but they were sort of pushing it out there, and it cost a lot of money to go to it. But these guys were all business guys. And Tracy Curley told us that this morning when they were there, the first announcer, MC guy who was up there, said that it was a pleasant day for them, or he said it was going to be an easier day. A better day. It was a better day for them.
Before I comment, though, I want to see some film footage or some verifiable quotes about that, too, because it's easy for gossip to become so-called truth. So I need to be able to see some kind of verification about that.
I asked Tracy if she got video, and she did not get any video. Although Tracy said that she did stand up, and
I've heard this said to me by 3 or 4 people, but I have not seen any verification by independent media, any kind of video. So, whereas that plays into our narrative a little too well. I mean, how stupid could they possibly be to say something like that? So I'm not sure that's authentic. I think a lot of our people hear what they want to hear. People are a lot like that.
I wouldn't want to make a determination on either side when it came to that.
It wouldn't surprise me. It's just that I can't find verification of it. Therefore, I don't believe it yet.
Agreed. Well, and what
By the way, what's happening here?
we do have verification of is what Craig said, though, that when Mary Beth was there, they asked how many people in the audience use marijuana, and only 5 people put up their hand.
Well, and I haven't seen verification of that, but maybe that's true.
I trust her judgment. She's a good, valid reporter.
I mean, a lot of people in a strange room might not want to say I smoke, gag.
That's true.
Night. So again, this is all. But here's the thing: the facts are, though, they're obvious enough, and we know the elite LPs are talking to Bill Blair. They are urging him to arrest us. They are urging him to end the business. What else could they possibly ask him? There's nothing.
And in their own investor forums, they're saying things like they should be going after Don Briere, and they're talking about strategies to report him to the
We've
police.
certainly got lots of evidence to show that they feel this way, that their sentiment ranges to we should get rid of these dispensaries. They are causing us trouble. Well, no, they've definitely done it, but did they say that this morning? I haven't seen it. But do they lobby on behalf of their own interest to close down dispensaries? Yes, they do.
No, this is Bill Blair, though. You got to think that the guys who have been programming this.
People can see this in 1,000 other media. What's going on here tonight? Well, are we selling weed or what?
Yes, we are. It's very true. And, of course, there is so much media right now. You can go on any social media and be flooded with all the stuff from Toronto. But, yeah, Mark is right. Mark, what are we doing by opening this dispensary here right in the sort of heart of the controversy? Why are we doing this?
Well, we're doing it for one of the reasons people criticize is we want to make money selling cannabis. And we want to make money because we feel why should everybody else make money selling cannabis when we are the people that went to jail, pioneered it, have been at this for 25 years. This is what we do. We are the marijuana people. So to me, people like Cannabis Culture and our partners and associates, this is a franchise. It's not directly owned by me or Jody. It's a franchise, and we hope to spread our brand name through this method because our brand name speaks of integrity, of quality, and so this is the kind of thing we feel we should be participating in. And we're doing something that the citizens want in a neighborhood where someone's willing to rent to us so we can conduct ourselves in a proper business manner, selling marijuana to the neighborhood adults who want it, which is what every Canadian in a democracy, I think, should want to be able to do, to access marijuana in a way that makes them feel like a citizen, not somebody who's a criminal.
We could open probably in a place less controversial than Toronto, though, right? Why here?
No, it's the center of the world, man. As far as if you're a Canadian, Toronto is where it's at. Vancouver is always going to be the capital, the weed capital of Canada. You're never going to dislodge that. Toronto's not even a shadow of Vancouver when it comes to weed, but it's the biggest, most impressive, most important thing. I mean, when I did the media, I have never seen that many television and microphones in front of me. You never see. I had like 20 to 25 microphones in my face. It's just not happening in Vancouver like that. No. This is clearly the media capital of Canada. This is where everybody who's anybody is. Yeah. If you're going to have a flagship location, it should be on Queen Street West. This is Main Street for Toronto. This is where I came all my life when I lived in Ontario. When I came to see the Blue Jays and games, it was Queen Street West every time. I never did not come to this street. Right. This is like Action Central. This is where if you're going to have a flagship location, it should be on Queen Street West. Now, how long we are allowed to stay before it becomes an untenable prospect, that's hard to know. But you know what? They might get a lot of negative feedback and stop investigating. They might have to call a halt. They might have to do a number of things. People might complain. They might find it's very expensive to use all these police officers. Things can change, right? So we are in volatile times right now. We've had a very dark week. At the same time, I think the public has been once again jogged to be supportive and sympathetic to us. They just don't get it. What's wrong with these dispensaries? What are these rules that they can't seem to? What are these licenses they can't get? What are these prescriptions people have a hard time getting? In other words, why don't we just legalize it, say they can sell it, and collect taxes? And this is the simple, obvious solution that the government is not willing to entertain.
And you mentioned the enforcement costs. I saw Dana crunching some numbers online, and I think the Vancouver numbers were something like $30,000
for each investigation. Yeah.
And so
$30,000.
$2.5 million, Dana.
Yeah. Well, remember, got to understand, the only thing that constrains a government is its budget. But as to, there's no such thing as far as government's concerned about wasting money. Since everything government does is really wasteful, that's kind of makes the concept of waste irrelevant, right? Government's purpose is to control the people. They will control us as much as we let them control us. We will be as free as much as we are willing to fight for our freedom. Government hates freedom. Freedom is opposite of government. Government is control. Government is rules, regulations, orders, cops that follow orders. Everybody follows the orders, follows what the system, right? And each individual in society tries to be free. We want to express ourselves sexually. We want to express ourselves in clothes and music and film, in books, magazines, in what we put in our body and how we use our body, where we take our body, where we go in the world. All these things conflict with government edicts that try and control where we can go, who we can be, what we can buy, what we can put in our body, what we can do with our body, what kind of sex we can have with our body. So the struggle for human autonomy is eternal and has always existed and will continue to go on. And, I expect I'll die doing this, and now what a great way to go, right? Because there's nothing more honorable than fighting for human dignity and human justice.
Right. Well, and Mark, you've done such a great job of that. And really, one of the reasons that these dispensaries are here at all, they're talking about, well, it should be in the hands of these people, the professionals who know what they're doing. Those people, there would be no system at all without people like you opening these things and doing it over and over again, like in Vancouver with your store and lounge. And when they did close you down, you just opened up again and again and again. Did they ever get to the point where they were shuttering your place up, or they took it so far that you couldn't open again in that same location or anything?
In 1998, the city came down so heavy to refuse to give us a business license, closed us up. It became untenable to stay in the city, so I retreated like Chiang Kai-shek to Taiwan. I went to the Sunshine Coast for 3 years and pursued my mail order business in the magazine, which tended to be a good idea because I didn't get raided. And eventually we built the business back up into multi-million-dollar businesses, where in 2001 I was able to finance an entire political campaign across British Columbia, 79 candidates for the BC Marijuana Party. So we end up coming back stronger than ever. But it takes time. The average time to recover from a raid is 6 to 9 months. It's a long time of suffering, struggle, everybody being paid half wages, dealing with legal fees, going to court. Many times my bail conditions forbade me from going back to my business, right? So there's the difficulty there. None of the people who were arrested, though, were forbidden from going back to work. That is so extraordinarily unusual. But the thing about that is they didn't want to put 90 people in jail for the weekend and then force them to get bail and force a judge to listen to it, because the judge is going to say, are you telling me you've got 90 people you rounded up because of some zoning bylaw infraction or some thing that's going on? I mean, 90 people, really? And some judge would be going, that's a lot of people to process. That could take me like several days just to listen to their plea, grant them, bail and get out and stuff like that. So they bypassed that entirely. Nobody had to post bail. Nobody stayed in jail overnight. It's remarkable. I've never seen it. So that tells me they're not serious about these charges. They're not going to pursue them seriously. It's all meant to be economically bankrupting. They make it so that landlords won't rent to you, employees will be nervous, investors will be nervous. You have $5 million being seized, right? So there you go. So anyway,
You hear the sirens. Everybody's like nervously looking out the window anytime a siren goes on.
Any water here, Jer? I've been speaking all day long.
Craig, what's going on with the water situation, brother? We were very little around, so I maybe go on a mission. 7-Eleven down the street. Which way? There's a Sevi. I can't remember which direction. Use your phone. So yeah, Mark, thanks a lot for coming on. We have a lot we got to get rolling on here, but you can come down. We're doing like we're open gathering tonight. If you're in the neighborhood, you can come on down and take a little sneak peek of the place. It's not the way we want it yet when we're actually fully open with our lounge furniture and everything, but we just kind of have the space. We're showing it off. We wanted to invite people to have a sneak peek at it. So if you're in the neighborhood, come on down. And Mark will be here for a bit. I'm sure you can have a conversation. Yeah. I think Craig went to go get some, but yeah. I wanted to. Hi, Jody. I want to bring Jody on, but I wanted to bring Jody. I do. No, I want to bring you on though. You should say hi. I want to bring you on as a guest though, because I want to ask you about your awesomeness today. Actually, hijacking the press conference. Not really hijacking. That's what the media wanted to. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. They tried to play it up into a hijack. Yeah. Vice did like a clipped one where they just showed us kind of looking even more crazy than we were. I think we were actually really fair, and he wasn't answering the questions, and you should demand the press.
Show me the victims.
Yeah, exactly. Where are the victims? So I want to bring up David from Ganja Brothers. David's here from Ganja Brothers. Now, these guys were targeted in the raids, like many of the dispensaries here. And don't see the location actually on here, but where's the location of your dispensary? Hey, man, give me one of those.
I don't have a dispensary.
Oh, you don't? Okay. What is it that you got rated for?
How much time do I have?
Well, we have a little bit of time. This broadcast is supposed to go till at least 8:30, I would think. So, we got time.
So I don't have to give the elevator pitch.
Well, you might want to summarize it in the best way you can.
So I was licensed under the MMAR to possess marijuana and grow marijuana. Okay. I was assigned, or I found myself a designated grower who grew it compassionately for me, or I could grow it myself, but I chose that. Under that system, at any time, I could choose to say, my designated grower is no longer going to water my medicine. I'm going to water my medicine. Now, we changed to the MMPR, which the government knows is now unconstitutional and is only lawful in the sense that it's being upheld while they work diligently to create a new medical system that they're working on supposedly. Right. So in the meantime, people who are covered under the injunction, they have certain parts of their license or the MMAR that Justice Feelings said was good, including the dispensaries, which he put as part of his ruling. So I have a brain tumor. I tried all kinds of prescription medications. Prior to having a brain tumor and being affected by it, I didn't consume anything but caffeine. I had to get the marijuana off the street. It immediately alleviated most of my symptoms. And I can't say clinically whether it cures cancer or anything such as that, but I can speak for myself. I had balance issues, anxiety issues, all kinds of issues due to parts of my brain that the tumor was affecting. And it's not a tumor that's growing, it just affects. The cannabis allowed me to live a nearly normal life. So one day in January this year, I was coming downstairs and I had a massive brain seizure. My children, which are adults, 23, were visiting me with their dogs, and I have dogs. They didn't know what to do, so they did what your family does. They called 911. The ambulance came. I was seizing for 20 minutes uncontrollably. So she called for backup. The police came. They went right into my house and started searching. My sons were crying for help from the police. 7 firefighters had to hold me down. I was seizing so bad. Wow. This I did not know. Right. I was unconscious after 20 minutes of seizing, trying to get up, trying to throw, just a massive seizure. I woke up 8 hours later, handcuffed and leg cuffed to a hospital gurney. I had no recollection. All I recall was coming downstairs. The good thing is they pumped me full of something because I was pretty high, some really good whatever, benzocaine or I'm not sure. So I wasn't stressed. I just went, oh, and I looked over and there were 2 police officers.
And you're handcuffed down.
Wearing just track pants, and that's it. Because when I was seizing, I was taking off my shirts and whatever else. So while I was in the hospital, I was talking to the police officers. I was not really conscious or totally unconscious. And they proceeded to remove me from the hospital. By that time, they'd given me an orange T-shirt. They gave me the slippers that you would wear for an x-ray, the little terry cloth. And they took me into a cold van used to take people to court. And it was minus 21 degrees out. And I said, well, isn't it cold out? And they said, don't worry, it was on an hour ago. So they took me down to an interrogation room. They put me in the interrogation room, left me alone. One officer said to the other, you're leaving him in there? He just had a seizure. He could die. Then the hospital phoned. They didn't know the police had removed me and demanded that they return me to the hospital. I then found out hours later that my 2 children had been arrested and were in jail. After 2 days in the hospital, after almost dying of a seizure, I was thrown into Gen Pop, South Detention, for a night in medical with some, I would say, less than happy people. It's a very gray place. Jail has changed. All the government cuts have changed. It's very gray. The bail conditions were unreasonable. We were not allowed back in our house. We were forced to fend for ourselves, and if we didn't have the means for a lawyer, it could have been a disaster. Since when we came for disclosure, gone, dropped, nothing.
So these cops can just come after you, and then in the end, it just disappears. Wow.
A lot of things disappeared from my house.
Oh, and what do you mean?
Well, I have cash on hand in my house, and when I went back, there was no cash.
So this is what happens when you're criminalizing a medicine and the use of a medicine where patients, you're already suffering from this debilitating condition, and then you have to deal with this kind of thing. Like, it's unbelievable that they're targeting the sick and dying people. Like,
I'm having to deal with my own PTSD. I mean, I hear a siren. I know I have no rights. I know my rights are something to just be discarded. And I've seen yesterday, because this isn't really about this is what happened to me, but this is what has happened to people.
yes, exactly.
Their rights, whether it's cannabis or massage parlors or gay men or Muslims or whatever it is, to target a group and use the law in a brutal and unjustified manner is criminal.
Well, and that's what, look at the effect on all of the people here. We're talking about, there was 43, I think in the end was the actual number that they claimed that they raided, 43 locations, 90 people arrested. That's a lot of people. And 96 people arrested?
And 186 charges. I mean, some people, just a job, are facing 3 charges. That means 3 times you have to go to court. As Mark Emery was saying, it's not about charges that they're going to prosecute you. They know that's going to cost a lot of money. It's about charges that debilitate you. Yes, please. Push you down and economically bankrupt you and emotionally bankrupt you. So when they make their move, you can't fight.
Wow, my friend. And so just to continue the story there, in the end, you said it all got thrown out. What has been the aftermath of that? Besides, of course, the losses in cash and all these things. Has there been anything, or is it, they've left you alone since then?
Yeah, it's just gone. It's gone. But the day we were released, they went to the address we were staying at and sat on it for a few hours just to let us know. And I've never done anything. I'm a patient with a legitimate brain tumor, with a license with Health Canada, with an associated designated grower, and I had 6 plants about this high. And my children were told that they were,
How old are your kids?
23, that they were growing to sell. I'm a medical patient with 6 plants.
Sorry, I don't mean to.
Right?
We're actually using the front desk right now as our broadcasting platform. Yeah, we were gonna do that. We've showed off the thing a couple times. We realized in the end that there was just no way to do it sitting properly the way we want to set up, and we couldn't have an audience in the same way that we had. So
I'm sure you have some more people to talk to.
we do, but I wanted to say thanks, Dave, for coming on and providing with us. I mean, really, that's such a crazy story, but it kind of illustrates what's happening to so many people right now. I mean, it's obviously that's a very extreme case, but I think that this idea of targeting people who are sick and dying and going after them, and the people who are helping them at these dispensaries, and a lot of the people that work at the dispensaries are the people who use marijuana as a medicine. So this is a scary situation, and it's not even just the actual real terrors they put you through, but just the thought terrorizes. Like this, I imagine that in that situation, people get PTSD from that.
Oh, severe PTSD. Yeah. And it just demonstrates that I live in a fair and just country, Canada, and this morning I was crying. I was crying about my country. I was crying about the youth working in the shops, the people that need jobs, the people that are part of a community. If you were a musician, you might want to work in the music industry. So some people like cannabis and they want to work in a cannabis industry with a cannabis community because they're part of that. Why should they be targeted?
Exactly. Now, just quickly, can you quickly tell us about Ganja Brothers And is your provider then, I am assuming here?
Well, we have T-shirts, and we have gunja jars, and we have processes. But we don't sell any product, but we have things that can be added to the industry in a legal way. Right.
Okay. I was just looking at 100% Jamaican there.
Well, that's different. Gunja Bros in Jamaica is 100% Jamaican. So that's where we originated. I was down there doing research on different live resin and different times of harvesting to see what worked best for my tumor. So it was born sort of in the legalization movement in Jamaica, which has also fallen on tougher times since the government changed.
Yeah, I know there's a lot in Jamaica going on, and I mean there was a lot of sort of connections with Canada. We were hearing a lot of business interests from Canada down there doing things. So yeah, and that kind of never materialized in the way that we thought it was going to.
New government. So the previous government had figured out how they were going to make all their money, and they were about to give licenses in April, and they were voted out, and the new government is now going to Colorado and trying to figure out, just like, I mean, what's happening in Toronto is no different than everywhere else. I talked to somebody in California and they go, brother, we went through that 15 years ago, right? The plight we are in is not a Toronto plight, it's universal.
Well, and you're seeing can be very fast changes from one side to the other. You know, you have places like Amsterdam that have been swaying back and forth with the type of government they have. You get a conservative government in, and they start shuttering places up, and then they start opening them again when you get another liberal one.
Money. I mean, I was at the protest, and I thought, I was watching Frank Zappa in the 70s, and it was the biggest hot box of my life. It was illegal, but it was completely tolerated. It was accepted. It was even part of the culture in high school. It wasn't like, oh, look at those people. There were stoners and there were drinkers and there were people that did things and there were jocks, but it wasn't stigmatized, really. It hasn't become stigmatized until there's so much money at stake and then there's a financial incentive to stigmatize a group or a people.
We're seeing that exact thing happening now with these LPs, and we just have to continue to debunk what they're saying and what they're doing. I don't think they're gonna win this one. I think it's just out of their hands. And again, the enforcement is so expensive that they can't do this forever.
Yes, and I think people have to choose how they feel about this, and for some people it might be impossible for them to boycott or whatever, and they have to choose what's best for themselves. But if there's an opportunity for some form of unity to get people to listen to a free and fair market where there's everybody participated and given enough time, then we have to do what we have to do.
Well, David, thank you very much for coming on, my friend. Appreciate that. And wow, what an amazing story to hear about. Like, to take it to that level, having you handcuffed and all that, man, that's some brutal stuff. So, but it's good to hear that they're leaving you alone now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll have you back again on sometime soon, man. Thanks a lot. Next up is Jody there. I want to get her before she runs off anywhere. Because today... Oh, Global's out there. Oh, see, I knew she was going to have to run off somewhere real quick. It's okay. When we get you back, we'll have you on and talk to you. Oh.
I don't even know what we're doing.
You mean tonight? What are we doing?
People want to come in and buy marijuana.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do they come in?
We're going to, I'm going to wrap the show up as soon as I do an interview with you, and then we're going to open it up and allow people to do that. Yeah, we were just doing it now because they're getting it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we are, yes, that's the plan. We are we're going to be selling tonight, and yeah, come on up, man. So now we have a lot of guests in the house that I don't really know much about. This fellow here, we had a brief conversation before. I know he is a lawyer interested in a lot of the stuff that's going on.
I'm just going to correct you there.
Oh, you're not?
Licensed paralegal.
Oh, you're a paralegal. Okay.
I assist people here in Ontario.
Yeah.
I have a license. I can represent people in some court matters if it's a summary charge, which is 6 months or less. I can generally assist somebody
in going through the court process and hopefully settling whatever it is. And I've been very successful in getting charges withdrawn and working with prosecution to look at alternative methods instead of incarceration or massive fines. I try and get the fines as low as possible or nothing at all. In the dispensaries case, I've been involved with a couple of dispensaries over the last couple of months, just trying to get them to follow as many of the rules that I know that the government and the population at large wants to see them follow. I realize from the argument that perhaps there shouldn't be those rules and restrictions, but at the same time, it's the environment that I know they're working in the city of Toronto. They are going to be important to the people that are setting the rules, setting the regulations. So I've been trying to help dispensaries do that. The raids have been going on. I've been talking to a number of dispensary owners about the ways that they can go about fighting those raids and perhaps getting their product back through motions. How to best support their employees that are now going through a fairly dramatic change in their lifestyle. A lot of them are patients. So I've offered my services to a number of people who are now going through the court process, so long as it turns out that they're being charged summarily.
Here, I'll let you hold the microphone because it
Sure.
can be a little closer. I think we're just having trouble hearing that.
So I've kind of put it out to the dispensary owners that if they do need help, a number of them I've extended an offer that I would definitely stand beside anybody that is fighting this charge that they've just laid as of yesterday. And I'd like to see that all charges be withdrawn from every individual that was affected by this, so long as they were trying to make an effort to follow at least the medical guidelines.
Right.
And that's where my opinion stays. Everybody's got a
Right.
different insight.
We
So
discussed some of that stuff.
I very profoundly support this as a medication. I support access for individuals that are sick. I myself am a medical marijuana patient. I was part of the old MAR program. I have refused up until now to participate in the MMPR because I believe from day one that it was a violation of my constitutional rights. I believe that it was an abuse and an infringement, and that I suffered damages because of the changes that the government put in. And I believe that a number of other patients suffered that as well. So I definitely have the experience and the background on this to kind of speak in and weigh in and say, look, I'm not just somebody in a particular law practice, but I've also got a little bit of personal stake at this. And I've watched as my license is tried to be taken away from me, and now the Allard case comes in. So I'm just here as a supporter. I heard you guys were opening today, and I respect you guys profoundly for all the work that you've done. There are so many people that are now benefiting from the access that you guys have created here. And kudos to you for picking Toronto for the location, especially now with what's going on. It takes a lot of moxie to sit here and have this conversation and know that the police could do something. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen for a while. In fact, I think if the police have any ability to reflect, they're going to take some time out to realize what took place today. And I think their best course of action is to have officers outside the dispensaries to hand the medication back, apologize, drop the charges, and leave the community of sick people to help themselves and really stay out of it. Because you were very right today. I heard you. I didn't see you, but I heard you say, show us the victims. And that's how true is that? It's something that really resonated with me when I was listening to it. I listened to Jody. There's so many people that said they couldn't have articulated it that way. If they had a month to write it all down, they still couldn't have done what she did.
I know, Jody.
She did it at the right time. The news was literally trying to switch to another story, and because all the microphones stayed on Jody, it all came back. The City Pulse came back. Everybody came back on and was like, what is this woman saying? And sure enough, she said all the right things. So,
No, Jody is so on point. It's
oh,
crazy.
it was brilliant. It's been a profound enjoyment of mine to meet Mark Emery. I know he's gone through the rigmarole. I know enough about him to know that he's from London and the early work he did at the bookstore, and now he's doing this work now, and it's amazing to have you guys in this community during this time, because quite frankly, I don't think that anybody was here that could have taken the lead on this. And to have you guys stand up and be here at this particular moment, it's thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
that's kind of why we wanted to be here. Now, Mark kind of sold it as, oh, we're here because we want to make money. You know, that's really not necessarily the reason why we're here in a lot of ways.
You're here for green, but I don't think it's money.
Right, exactly. Mark is funny. Mark is hilarious because he's a libertarian activist and he wants to pretend that it's always about, that it's almost, he likes Ayn Rand. He likes this objectivist philosophy where people are motivated by things to help themselves, which has a help in helping everybody else. So, but, that's Mark's form of altruism, I think, in a lot of ways, is that concept trickles down into all of this great stuff that he's done in helping so many other people. Hi, Jody. You got water? Stuff's happening. Uh-oh, good things are... Oh, okay. Oh, everybody wants to come in. So, yeah. My friend, your name, one more. I just want to be able to tell everybody. Lee. And that you don't want last name or anything you don't want to give it on?
My last name's Hathaway.
Hathaway, okay. Lee. So if people need your help in this matter, can they contact you some way?
I'm available. You can find me on the Law Society of Upper Canada's website. So just search Hathaway. I'm the only one that's listed. Law Society of Upper Canada, LSUC. .ca. So just search. There's a find paralegal or lawyer section. Just go under the name section for find a lawyer or paralegal. Type in Hathaway, search it, you'll find me.
Thanks for coming on, my friend. Next time, we'll have you back on for longer when we're not in the middle of all this craziness. And Jody Emery, if I get you on here, then you're my final guest. Then we can turn this off and we can get people coming in here to do what we're supposed to be doing tonight. Are you running around doing things?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm feeling okay. Yeah. Well, because I only just I don't know.
Have you had any time to think about what happened earlier today?
I haven't. I'm just still digesting it. I'm still kind of digesting what we're doing here and why am I sitting here when I have a feeling like I just have a.
They're not going to come and arrest
us tonight. I just talked to Global News and they were, they ask. They,
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, go ahead.
Damn.
You were talking about Global was saying something. That you were worried because I said they're not going to arrest us tonight and come down, and you said, well, you're talking to Global. Did you hear something?
No, I'm made a little nervous by the fact that they are here saying, do we know that guy? See, now I'm suddenly very suspicious. There's a guy that's been standing around all dressed in black.
Don't worry about it.
Well, I don't know. I guess this is the risk, and we just have to be brave. No, but I have never done this before. We've never done something like this before. And, it's one thing to do it in Vancouver, our hometown, on the day that they began shutdown enforcement, but it's an entirely different thing to be in a city that is not ours. And we did, I just John Waltered.
Yeah, you did.
The police.
It was totally John Walter. We embarrassed that guy so bad today.
I was looking at news reports, and they are straight up saying that the police were humiliated by us, that we took over, that the police did not look good, and it was us who made them not look good, and that makes me nervous, of course, as it should.
Yeah. We have a big target on our backs, but we had that before. It is the Emerys.
Yeah, and there's tons of people milling about outside that window, just really desperately wanting to get in. So what is our deal here? If we explain to people what we're doing?
What do you mean, tonight or in general?
When we open these doors.
Jody doesn't even know what's going on.
Don't.
Yeah, what are you talking about? You mean when we open the doors tonight? Tonight we're just hanging.
Declaration?
No, we don't. No, we're not.
Cannabis?
Yeah, we're selling cannabis.
People will be coming in and buying cannabis.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's good.
Is it 9? Oh, I thought it was 8, but changed till 9? Okay. Oh, okay. Because there's an example. So, apparently, 9 o'clock we start actually open to be selling weed. But people are
actually waiting, and they were told that we would start at 8. I guess it's 8 o'clock right now. Is it already 8?
Supposed to be 8. But maybe we can start doing that and figure out a system for doing that
Well, what's
more
the-
quickly?
what- I wanna
don't
find
know.
out what
We'll find out not on the air. What I
Sorry
really wanted to talk to you about, Jody, was what happened today with the hijacking, quote unquote. All the stuff that they were trying to say today. Does it seem like they didn't really have any real idea what they were talking about? Like, they didn't seem like they had a plan.
The police chief had talking points that were very, very similar to the LP talking points about dispensaries. It was, and as soon as he was asked about any, like, to clarify or to expand further, he couldn't. He didn't know what to say. So he was just going over these talking points. So yeah, it's. Oh boy, I'm sorry. I'm. The worst part is I'm getting
Poor
jet-lagged
Jody.
now, and I'm
You know,
tired.
you've been
I
working.
haven't
So
even eaten properly.
Jody came from Europe to here, and it wasn't that or wait, you were.
Tuesday night, yeah, we were in Poland at a medical marijuana conference, and then we were in Spain before that for a cannabis expo there, and we did get a couple days off to relax, so like that was nice. But arrived really late at night, and then had some sort of hotel check-in, and then the next morning we have raids everywhere, and we were supposed to just be here for the Lift Expo, which is, I mean, we are still here for that,
Right.
but we were supposed to be here only for an interesting expo and to oversee these dispensaries opening just alongside all the other Toronto dispensaries. But you know, I did not expect that the police would be going and using battering rams and guns and stuff to actually raid dispensaries. And we are activists and we have to be brave. And sometimes being brave means admitting that you're scared. So let's just put that out there for you.
Don't be scared, Jody. The worst they can do to us is arrest us, and we go to jail for the night.
I would really like to not get arrested. I know and I know, you know,
It's not. You don't even like camping.
I love camping. If I was, yeah.
But I thought you need a shower though, don't you?
Camping. And the shower is nice, but I like
okay.
camping.
Maybe that's not you.
But you know, I'm like,
You love camping.
I know there's some sort of other thing I could probably say.
Well, you're not the type of person who wants to go out for long periods without, having I would say like most girls do.
Comforts. I like being comfortable. That's true. So what's this relate to again? I forget what we were talking
We're all off on another tangent now. We were talking about your jet lag.
about. Yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're gonna wrap this up because we have a bunch of people standing outside. But Jody, it was great to see what happened today. I really love all of you. You've been doing amazing amount of media lately, and every time I hear you, you're so damn sharp. And
It has been fun. It has been fun. I've been getting a lot of training and a lot of opportunities to talk to the media and get our message out there. So
And the truth is on our side. You're just, sticking by that truth, and it really blows people away. So, anyways, yeah, Jody, I love. Yeah, because there's a big group of people out there right now, and there's lots coming in, so we can barely hear what's going on. Pod TV, we love you. If you're in Toronto, come on down here today. Come check us out, or over. Yeah.
Because I should probably explain why we want to even do this franchise. We don't own this. We don't make a bunch of money from it. We won't even make money for a month, and that's only just a small part. But the point of these franchises is to. Well, we'll get paid in a month after, from your.
Right.
Right. What I'm saying, my point is, we're not here cashing in right away. We're here to demonstrate that cannabis culture should represent what legalization should be.
Right.
A nice, peaceful, safe place to access and consume cannabis. And that's the dream. That is my dream. I just didn't think we would be dealing with such heavy-handed law enforcement about it. So that, has me a little, bummed out and a little worried.
Oh, don't worry, Jody. It's a very emotional time. There's a lot going on, and Jody was on super high.
We already had a lot of things going on before this raid shit happened. I mean, to be honest, back home in Vancouver, we have our closure order for the Beatty Street dispensary. We've got our Davie Street location being kind of compromised because the Eden dispensary there decided to leave, so we're figuring that stuff out. We've got our own problems back at home, and just even running a business is tough work anyway, and I've been gone. And so, I don't know, I felt like coming back to the Lift Expo would be an interesting time, but it got way, way, way more interesting, and tomorrow is going to be insane. I don't even... Or maybe it'll just be a bunch of people like kind of giving each other dirty looks as they walk around and all being suspicious of who supports what. I don't know. I hope we'll actually, Yeah, I have some interesting news, but that's not for the public, so you'll find out later.
I'm glad they're really happy you told them now. So, yeah, we're going to be broadcasting the Lift Expo, as much live broadcasting as we can. We're going to find out tomorrow how that's actually going to look. In the past, we've had some problems with the internet access in the building. For one, even if you buy the most expensive one, it's not very good. And so we bring our own internet. It's a Rogers box, but the building is made of concrete, so it's not always perfect, depending on the spot you're in. Yeah, LTE signal. We're going to do our best. We'll be broadcasting over the day. We'll keep you guys updated on everything that's happening. If we can't get a really good live signal, then we'll be doing recorded video and we'll be uploading stuff for you guys. So tune in tomorrow, pot.tv. You can find all this stuff. And Jody, thanks for coming on. And thanks for everything
Of
going on.
course. And
Thanks for all of this stuff. And Mark also, thanks for coming on, and everybody else who's on, David. And I have Mary Beth here too, but Mary Beth was doing the conference today. We got to kind of close down to get going, but we should have a conference. Do we? Okay, we're still okay. Well, I just wanted to quickly ask about the conference today, because we do have verification from somebody firsthand now about what happened there. We were talking earlier about the conference. Tracy Curley was there. The one that I relayed to the people, Mary Beth, was what you sent me the text message about the 5 people raising their hand when they asked if they were smokers there. What did you think about what the people on stage were saying, the MCs and stuff?
It was interesting. There were a few of the speakers were licensed producers, and so they had an interesting take on things, kind of what we're expecting them to say. People did seem to be happy that a lot of dispensaries had been shut down. Yeah, so the MC himself almost seemed like a bit, yeah. Gleeful? Down on cannabis users or something like that. Like he did a lot of moderating. So yeah, I don't know, but I was really surprised when one of the speakers asked how many people here are cannabis consumers. And I think about 5 people raised their hand, and 3 of them were us media in the back. So
the media smokes a lot.
They asked how many people know what dabs are, and there was about 5 people, and yeah.
So these people then. So what were the seminars that they were hosting, and what were they talking about?
Well, I was just I just went to the kind of last quarter of the conference. So the part that I saw, they were talking all about marketing and branding. So there were some okay tips and things I think that they had in there, but. In 1 or 2 of the sessions, because they're all kind of panel style, there were people from the pharmaceutical marketing spectrum. And so one of the sessions was all about how you can take learnings from pharmaceutical sales and marketing and apply them to the cannabis industry. It's they had some good points, don't overuse the pot leaf and things,
Right. They're trying to make it more clinical, they're talking about.
Yeah, but it felt really weird to be in a place where, everyone was big pharma and,
right. When it comes to the
lessons that we're learning in pharma and how can you apply them to cannabis and...
So we're really seeing right now this takeover. It's a co-opting of this cannabis movement that we've been at for so long by businesses who traditionally do other things. They're all seeing it. You have your liquor store groups and all these people. Everybody wants a piece of this. That includes the people who do the marketing for pharmaceuticals or whatever. Everybody sees how you can weedify just about everything, and I think it's pretty valid and viable. But yeah, the conference cost a lot, didn't it?
Yes, I think the cheapest ticket was $12.95. That was an early bird ticket. Yeah.
Would you have paid for this conference if? Do you think it would have been worth it to pay for if you were a dispensary owner or something?
That's a good question.
Maybe an LP owner.
I don't know. In a way, yes, because I think it's a good opportunity to meet the players in the industry.
Networking opportunities.
But. It was a high-end conference. They had the nice conference materials, the really nice break styles, and, it would have been nice if it was, a little bit more accessible for some of the smaller businesses, but it was interesting to see, those are the players, or at least that's what's, I'm sure there's a lot more people that weren't there, but, yeah, it was really interesting to kind of hear some of the opinions firsthand that,
Right.
I guess like in the pot community we talk about, but it was
Those guys,
those
but
guys
you
that-
were actually amongst them.
yeah. And and that's not to say that, like there was a lot of definitely pro pot people there. Like I don't want to paint it, with a bad picture. And I was chatting with one licensed producer that was just enraged at what happened yesterday. Really enraged.
I'm sure there's lots of people in the LP system that are enraged by this. Yeah.
So
They're not the ones, putting these seminars on probably.
maybe not. So
Well, thank you for coming on and telling us about that. Sorry, it's kind of cutting things short. But I see that we seem to have a bit of I don't know what's going on there, but you guys can still hopefully see everything and hear everything. It looks a little choppy on my end, but yeah, it was a good show though. We did it all from the new unit here. We usually don't do it on OBS. Thanks Pod TV for watching. We love you guys. Tune in tomorrow, and thanks Mary Beth for coming on. Everybody else for coming on. We'll be back probably the thing starts at 10 a.m. We'll probably not be broadcasting until about noon, I would imagine. We'll get set up and see how it all goes.
Get in, get set up, get it done. Oh yeah, we do have a little latency. You can't refresh it. We are just about there. It is maybe not quite as grand as we had kind of initially had planned, but I think we're going to be just quite fine. No? Right? I'm looking at this as a great.
I want to see an affirmation of our culture and a fearlessness, okay? So don't be scared, don't act nervous, do whatever you can. It doesn't have to be a lot, it just has to be something.
Yeah, just sell them their weed.
Because every day it'll improve.
A little sneak peek. A little sneak peek for you tonight. More things to come. Stay tuned with us. Yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah, tomorrow we're going to rock through the Lift event, doing our best to broadcast. Stay tuned. If not, yes, we apologize in advance, and we'll go ahead and get you.
You're open tomorrow, and from now on, are you every day?
Yeah.
Yeah, we absolutely are. The plan is to be open here. I believe the time is 10 o'clock in the morning. We'll make sure that goes on social media to confirm, but I believe it's 10 o'clock tomorrow. I think so. I think that's the confirmation. So, a gentleman who I'll introduce you to shortly after the show. Yeah, so we are basically out of here, but yes, hopefully you can be with us tomorrow from the Lift conference and see how it goes on. We got a mobile Pot TV studio that we're going to do our best to broadcast with. Yeah, it's the wagon of fun. And we're going to actually go ask a few of these people a few questions because I think we got some explaining to do.
Yeah, well, we'll see who's there. I'm not even really sure who. I mean, there's the list of the people there. It's kind of a big range, actually. So there's going to be some of our friends that we really know and that have come to the other expos at the Metro Toronto Convention Center, the Treating Yourself Expo and the Champs Expo, but there'll be a whole bunch of new people too from the new industries happening. It's, so much happens in 1 year. It's been a few years, so we'll see how it goes.
One day.
Yeah,
Come on, in one day it happened a lot, man.
All right, Pop TV, we love you guys. We'll see you soon. Be back tomorrow. Peace. Have a good night and get down here if you're in the neighborhood. It's 801 Queen Street West.
Not Hastings Street.
Yeah,
Queen
and
Street.
our other location, 711 Queen Street East, will be opening up very shortly as well.
Early to middle of next week is the plan at this point. So stay tuned to social media. Stay tuned to Cannabis Culture. Check out at Cannabis Culture. And, of course, support all across social media. Thanks to Mark, Jody, David, everybody, Lee, everyone who was in the house, Mary Beth. Thank you for being a part. And we'll see you guys all tomorrow on Pot.TV.
Peace, Pod TV. All right. Great.
There you go.
A lot of people watching.
Yeah?
I was looking at
There's a lot of people with stuff with lifted that are not
my phone is dead. I don't know where my other half
There's
is.
a lot of people that are not showing up anymore.
was coming, but...
They want to boycott it because it's an LP event.
No, dispensaries that got busted.
There's gonna be dispensaries there tomorrow.
Right beside licensed
Shut down,
providers.
right next to
There
them.
was.
That's a huge range of people.
There was, but no, because they were part of the class.
But why would they be there? There's just information or rallying. Like they should go and represent themselves. And I don't know. I don't think they should go away. They should be there as like a sympathy.
Yeah, why would they go? I don't get that.
And I had somebody say, "Don't go. Don't support Lift Expo." Like, don't support getting together with our community and
No, it's a bit more borderline than that. They are in bed with the LPs.
No, but they're being
I want to sit there and I want to talk to all of them and see what they all have to say. And, I'll make the
Well,
money.
yeah, make
Yeah,
your own mind up.
I did a quick
Besides, it's an expo anyway.
I did a quick video interview with
There's all sorts of
an LP guy,
Yeah.
and yeah, he was telling me
ID 19. They're gonna go in.
Give it to Jared, the guy in Jared.
Is there a
They've got
form?
staff who live
Who
here.
is that person?
They've got. I'll introduce you to the staff once they're there. They've got the
Does,
staff who live
do
here.
we have this form, this consent form or whatever that they're signing, or no? We don't need one printed yet. It's fine.
Well, we had one that we
if
were
you-
gonna do, but then we just Jared.
Talk to Kurt.
And he suggested that we maybe rewrite it with the limited amount of time there was to. He was on the way to the show already.